Captain James Reed stood on the bridge of his small patrol ship and watched the huge Imperial tax collector ship land at North American Spaceport. The massive vessel made his own ship look like a toy. Its dark metal hull gleamed in the morning sun as it settled onto the landing pad with a hiss of steam. "Another day, another payment to our masters," muttered Tom, Reed's co-pilot. Reed said nothing. He just touched the Imperial badge on his uniform. Everyone knew the Empire had listening devices everywhere. 40 years under Imperial rule had taught humans to be careful with their words. The stars belonged to the Empire now. When their warships first appeared above Earth's major cities 4 decades ago, humanity had no choice but to surrender. Earth's weapons were toys compared to Imperial technology. "Patrol Ship E-394, report your status," came the cold voice of Imperial command through the radio. Reed pressed the transmit button. "Patrol Ship E-394 completing standard orbit around Sector 7. All quiet. Command. Continue patrol for another hour, then return to base." "Understood, Command." Reed guided the ship in a slow arc over the city below. From up here, you could almost forget that Earth wasn't free anymore. The Empire let humans keep their cities, their farms, and some of their ways. But the heavy taxes, the strict rules, and the constant watching never stopped. Governor Drav, the Empire's ruler on Earth, often said in his speeches that humans were lucky. "Your species is creative and works hard," he would say with his thin smile. "This makes you useful to the Empire. Be thankful we find value in you." What the Empire didn't know, what Governor Drav would never guess, was that deep under the Pacific Ocean, humans were almost ready to show just how useful they could be. Reed checked that no Imperial ships were nearby, then pressed a hidden button under his control panel. A small screen lit up, showing a message that only he could see from his position. "Status update on Phoenix," Reed typed. The answer came quickly. "Final checks underway. 48 hours until ready." Reed allowed himself a small smile as he turned off the hidden screen. For 20 years, the best minds on Earth had worked in total secret. They built something the Empire thought impossible for simple humans, a ship that would change everything. His patrol finished, Reed landed at the base and walked past a group of Imperial soldiers. They barely looked at him, just another human doing his small job. They never wondered what humans talked about when no Imperial ears were listening. They never checked what was happening in the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. That night, Reed drove to a small house by the sea. He parked his car and walked inside, checking carefully to make sure no one followed him. In the basement, he opened a hidden door behind a bookshelf. A tunnel stretched ahead, lit by dim lights. After walking for 10 minutes, he reached a small underground train. Other people were already waiting. Scientists, engineers, military leaders who had kept their real skills hidden from the Empire. "Captain Reed," said General Laura Thompson as he joined them. "Ready to see what you've been helping to hide all these years." The train started moving, going deep under the ocean floor. Reed felt his heart beat faster. "Is it really finished?" he asked. Thompson's eyes shined with pride. "Come see for yourself." After 30 minutes, the train stopped at a massive underground base. As the doors opened, Reed gasped. Through a huge glass wall, he could see it, bigger than any Imperial warship he'd ever seen. Its hull gleamed with a dark blue metal that seemed to absorb light. "The HSS Phoenix," Thompson said. "Humanity's answer to the Empire." Reed stared in wonder. "They have no idea what's coming, do they?" "No," Thompson said with a smile. "But in 48 hours, the whole galaxy will know what humans are truly capable of." General Laura Thompson walked through the massive underwater base known as the Trench. Her footsteps echoed on the metal floor as workers rushed past her. After 20 years of secret work, the next 2 days would change everything. She entered the main control room, where huge screens showed different parts of the HSS Phoenix. The Supercarrier was the biggest ship humans had ever built, even bigger than the Empire's largest warships. "General, you need to see this," said Mark Wilson, the chief engineer. His hands moved quickly over a control panel, bringing up new images on the main screen. The screen showed the inside of the Phoenix. Hundreds of people moved through its hallways and rooms, checking systems and preparing for launch. "The quantum drive is working perfectly," Wilson said with pride. "Weapons are at 97% power. The stealth system is better than we hoped." Thompson nodded. "And the crew? 5,000 of our best people are ready. They've trained for years in secret simulators. They know the ship perfectly, even though most of them are stepping on it for the first time today." Thompson watched as more crew members boarded the massive ship. The Phoenix was special. The Empire thought humans were too simple to understand their advanced technology. But for 20 years, humans had been secretly studying every piece of Imperial equipment they could get their hands on. When Imperial ships came to Earth for repairs, human workers would make copies of small parts. When old Imperial ships were scrapped, humans saved pieces that the Empire thought were useless. Piece by piece, they learned the Empire's secrets. But the Phoenix wasn't just a copy of Imperial technology. It was better. "The stealth system is our greatest advantage," Wilson explained, pointing to another screen. "The Empire has nothing like it. They won't see us coming until it's too late." Thompson walked to a large window overlooking the main construction bay. The Phoenix filled the entire space, its dark hull seeming to swallow the light. Along its sides were weapon systems unlike anything the Empire had. Humans had always been good at making weapons, even before the Empire came. Now they had combined their own ideas with Imperial technology. "How did we hide something this big for so long?" asked Captain Reed, who had joined Thompson at the window. Thompson smiled. "The Empire thinks they know everything about us. They watch our cities, our factories, our spaceports. But they never bothered to look deep under the oceans. They think we're just simple workers who do as we're told." Reed looked at his watch. 44 hours until launch. "Do you think we're ready?" "We have to be," Thompson said. "The Phoenix isn't just a ship. It's humanity's only chance for freedom." They watched as a group of pilots walked toward the ship's main entrance. These men and women had trained in secret for years, using simulators built from stolen Imperial designs. They had never flown real ships in space. Their first real flight would be the most important mission in human history. "Begin the final boarding," Thompson ordered. "I want all crew at their stations in 12 hours for the last systems check." Wilson nodded and sent the order. Across the base, more people began moving toward the Phoenix. "What happens after we launch?" Reed asked quietly. "We show the Empire who we really are," Thompson answered. "First, we take out their communication stations around Jupiter and Mars. Then we hit their main base on Mars where Governor Drav lives. We won't kill unless we have to, but we'll destroy their ability to call for help." Reed looked worried. "And then? The Empire has thousands of ships. We have one." Thompson's eyes were hard and determined. "We have the element of surprise. We have better technology. And we have something the Empire doesn't understand: human determination. Once we show what the Phoenix can do, other human colonies in the solar system will rise up too." She turned to face Reed directly. "This is just the beginning, Captain. In 44 hours, the galaxy will never be the same." Lieutenant Drawn of the Imperial Security Force was bored. His job at Outpost Station 17, orbiting the gas giant Jupiter, was the most boring post in the Empire. Nothing ever happened here. The station only existed to watch the human ships that sometimes traveled between Earth and the outer planets. Drawn sipped his drink and stared at the sensor screens. The same readings as yesterday, and the day before, and every day for the past year. He sighed. Then something changed. The screen flickered. A red dot appeared, then grew larger. "What is that?" Drawn said, sitting up straight. He checked the readings again. Something huge had just appeared 10,000 kilometers away from the station. But that was impossible. Large objects couldn't just appear. The long-range sensors should have detected it approaching. Dron reached for the alarm button. Before his hand touched it, the entire room shook. The lights flickered and went out. Emergency lights came on, bathing everything in red. "Station under attack," shouted another officer. "Communications are down." Another explosion rocked the station. Dron grabbed the edge of his console to stay upright. "Weapons systems destroyed," reported a technician. "Power generators hit. We're running on emergency power only." Dron finally got a clear look at the main viewer. What he saw made his blood run cold. A massive ship, larger than any Imperial cruiser, hung in space near the station. Its dark blue hull seemed to absorb the light from nearby Jupiter. It was a design he had never seen before. That's not one of ours," Dron whispered. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. On the bridge of the HSS Phoenix, Captain Alex Turner watched as his ship's weapons hit their targets with perfect accuracy. "Station neutralized, Captain," reported Lisa Brown, the tactical officer. "Their communications, weapons, and main power are all disabled. They can't call for help or fight back." Turner nodded. "Any casualties?" "None detected. All our hits were precise." "Good." Turner stood from his command chair and walked closer to the main viewer. The Imperial station looked small compared to the Phoenix. "Begin the evacuation protocol." Brown pressed several buttons on her console. Evacuation message transmitted. "We're telling them to abandon the station and use their escape pods." The Phoenix's mission wasn't to kill. It was to send a message to the Empire. Humans were not weak. They were not simple. And they were no longer going to be slaves. "Look, Captain," said the pilot, pointing at the screen. "They're evacuating." Small pods began launching from the station, each one carrying Imperial personnel to safety. As they flew past the Phoenix, the Empire soldiers could see the human ship clearly for the first time. Many stared in disbelief at its size and power. "All Imperial personnel have evacuated the station," Brown reported after several minutes. "Good." Turner returned to his chair. "Target the empty station. Destroy it." The Phoenix fired again. This time, the weapons hit with full power. The Imperial station broke apart, chunks of metal flying in all directions. "First strike complete," Brown said. Turner looked at his crew, men and women who had trained for years for this moment. Their faces showed pride and determination. "The Phoenix has proven itself," Turner told them. "The stealth systems worked perfectly. Our weapons are more powerful than we expected. The Empire never saw us coming." He turned to his pilot. "Prepare for quantum jump to Mars Orbital Command. It's time to pay Governor Drav a visit." The pilot smiled. "Yes, sir. Quantum drive charging. Jump in 30 seconds." Turner watched the floating pieces of the destroyed station on the main screen. The Empire had ruled Earth with fear for 40 years. Now it was time for the Empire to feel fear. "This is just the beginning," Turner said quietly. "By this time tomorrow, the Empire will know that taking Earth was their biggest mistake." The Phoenix's engines glowed bright blue. Then, in a flash of light, the massive human ship disappeared, leaving no trace behind. Its next target, the heart of Imperial power in the solar system. Supreme Commander Vex slammed his fist onto the table. The holographic display jumped and flickered. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "They're just humans." The emergency meeting of the Imperial High Command had gathered quickly after the attack on Mars Orbital Command. Governor Drav was dead. The command station was destroyed. 3 Imperial warships had been disabled without being able to fire a single shot. Admiral Kell, head of Imperial Fleet Intelligence, stood nervously before the angry commander. "The intelligence was wrong, Supreme Commander. We thought we understood human technology. We were mistaken." "Mistaken?" Vex's face turned dark with anger. "A human ship appeared out of nowhere, destroyed our main base in the Sol system, killed Governor Drav, and disappeared again. And you call that a mistake?" The room fell silent. No one wanted to face Vex's anger. "Show me the images again," Vex ordered. A large hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a massive ship with dark blue hull. It was larger than an Imperial cruiser. The ship fired weapons that cut through Imperial defenses like they weren't there. "What do we know about this ship?" Vex asked, his voice now cold and controlled. Admiral Kell touched his datapad. "They call it the Phoenix. From the little data we gathered, it uses a form of stealth technology we've never seen before. It can appear and disappear at will. Its weapons are based on our own designs, but improved somehow." Vex studied the image carefully. "How did they build this? We watch their factories. We control their resources." "We don't know yet," Kell admitted. "But this ship wasn't built overnight. They must have been planning this for years, maybe decades." Another officer stepped forward. "Supreme Commander, we've sent the 7th Fleet to Earth. They will secure the planet and begin questioning the human leaders. We'll find who is responsible." "Too late," said a new voice. General Tarn, commander of Imperial forces in the Sol system, entered the room. His uniform was dirty and torn. A bandage covered one side of his face. "What do you mean, too late?" Vex demanded. "We've lost contact with the entire Sol system," Tarn said. His voice was tired. "All our communication relays are gone. The human colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan have risen up at the same time. Our forces are being pushed back everywhere." Vex stared in disbelief. "Impossible. The humans don't have the weapons or the organization for such an attack." "They do now," Tarn said. He placed a small device on the table. It projected another image, smaller ships similar to the Phoenix, fighting alongside armed human civilians. These ships appeared at every human colony at exactly the same time. They're smaller than the Phoenix, but they use the same technology. The room filled with shocked voices. The Empire had ruled for thousands of years. No one had challenged them successfully in centuries. "It gets worse," Tarn continued. "The 7th Fleet never reached Earth. We lost contact with them near Alpha Centauri. Their last message said they were under attack from multiple ships of unknown design." Vex's face had gone pale. "How many ships do the humans have?" "We don't know," Kell admitted. "Their stealth technology makes them impossible to track. They could have 5 ships or 500. Vex sat down heavily in his chair. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear. The Empire had always won through superior technology and overwhelming force, but now they faced an enemy they couldn't see coming, with weapons they didn't understand. "Send word to all Imperial forces," Vex ordered. "The human situation is now our highest priority. I want every available ship redirected to the Sol system. We will crush this rebellion before it spreads." But even as he gave the orders, Vex wondered if it was already too late. The Phoenix had changed everything. The humans had been planning this for decades, right under Imperial noses. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an enemy that had caught them completely unprepared. The Imperial 7th Fleet moved slowly through space toward the human colony on Alpha Centauri. 50 warships, including 2 massive dreadnoughts, formed a wall of Imperial power. The 7th Fleet was known throughout the galaxy as the Empire's Hammer. When it arrived, resistance ended. Fleet Commander Uvan stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Emperor's Might, watching as his ships approached the main colony world. His orders were clear: crush any human resistance immediately. "Begin orbital positions," Uvan ordered. "Prepare weapons for bombardment of military targets." The massive fleet spread out, surrounding the planet. Uvan smiled coldly. The humans might have surprised the Empire with their Phoenix ship, but they couldn't stand against the full might of an Imperial fleet. "Sir," shouted the sensor officer suddenly. Jump signatures detected. Uvan turned sharply. "Where?" "Everywhere. Multiple jumps inside our formation." Before Uvan could respond, space itself seemed to tear open in the middle of the Imperial fleet. The HSS Phoenix appeared, its massive hull dwarfing even the Imperial cruisers. But it wasn't alone. 6 smaller vessels of similar design appeared alongside it, surrounding the Imperial dreadnoughts. "Impossible," Yuvon whispered. "No ship can jump that precisely into a fleet formation." On the bridge of the Phoenix, Captain Turner watched the Imperial fleet with calm eyes. "All ships in position," reported Tactical Officer Brown. "The Orion, Hercules, Atlas, Titan, Pegasus, and Odyssey are ready for your command." Turner nodded. These 6 smaller carriers had been built alongside the Phoenix, hidden in other underwater bases around Earth. Each was commanded by captains Turner trusted completely. "Begin maneuver Theta," Turner ordered. As one, the 7 human ships moved. Their engines glowed bright blue as they weaved between the Imperial vessels with impossible speed and precision. Before the Imperial ships could target them properly, the human vessels fired. The weapons weren't aimed to destroy. Each shot hit engines, weapon systems, and communication arrays with surgical precision. "They can't hit us," Brown said with pride. "Our stealth systems are confusing their targeting computers." The smaller human carriers launched swarms of fighter craft. The small, fast ships darted between the Imperial vessels, firing at specific points that the Phoenix had identified as weaknesses. "Sir," an officer called to Turner, "the Imperial ships are trying to lock weapons, but our countermeasures are working. Their systems think our ships are friendly Imperial vessels." Turner allowed himself a small smile. One of their greatest advantages was the knowledge they had gathered over 40 years. Humans who worked as repair technicians on Imperial ships had secretly copied the recognition codes that Imperial vessels used to identify each other. Now those codes were saving human lives. On the Imperial flagship, chaos reigned. Yuvon shouted orders, but nothing worked. Weapons wouldn't fire at the human ships. Engines failed when they tried to maneuver. "How are they doing this?" Yuvon demanded. "Their technology can't be this advanced." "Sir," his second-in-command said quietly, "the human ships are targeting our engines and weapons, but they're avoiding crew areas. They're disabling our ships, not destroying them." Yuvon stared at the tactical display. The 7 human vessels moved in perfect coordination, as if they could predict every Imperial move before it happened. Within 30 minutes, 38 Imperial ships hung dead in space, unable to move or fight back. "Order the remaining ships to retreat," Yuvon said, his voice hollow with defeat. "We need to warn the Empire about what we're facing." His damaged dreadnought and 11 other ships that could still move turned away from the planet and jumped to safety. For the first time in Imperial history, a major fleet had been defeated in open battle. On the Phoenix, the bridge crew cheered as the last Imperial ships disappeared. "Casualties?" Turner asked, his voice serious despite the victory. "Minimal, sir," Brown replied. "We lost 7 fighters. The crews ejected safely and have been recovered. Imperial casualties are also minimal, mostly injuries from sudden ship movements." Turner nodded with satisfaction. "Contact the colony. Tell them they're free." Communications Officer Mike Davis smiled as he sent the message. Within minutes, the response came back. Celebrations had erupted across the colony as people realized the Imperial fleet had been defeated. The Imperial Palace on the capital world was the center of power for the entire galaxy. Its tall towers and golden domes could be seen from space. Inside those walls, the fate of 1,000 worlds was decided every day. Today, those walls would welcome visitors the Empire had never expected to meet as equals. General Laura Thompson led the small group of humans walking slowly through the grand entrance hall. Captain Turner walked on her right, his uniform crisp and perfect. On her left walked Robert Clark, the newly chosen president of Earth. Behind them came a small team of human advisors and guards. Imperial guards lined the hallway, their faces showing surprise and sometimes anger as the humans passed. 2 weeks ago, these humans had been just another conquered species. Now they walked through the Imperial Palace as official visitors. "Stay calm," Thompson whispered to her team. "Remember why we're here." After defeating the Imperial fleet at Alpha Centauri, Humanity had surprised the Empire again. Instead of pushing their advantage and attacking more Imperial outposts, they had asked for peace talks. The request had shocked the Imperial High Command. The humans were led into the great throne room. The ceiling arched high overhead, covered in paintings of Imperial victories. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat Emperor Zal himself. The Emperor was older than Thompson had expected. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes were sharp and intelligent. He watched the humans approach with a calm expression that revealed nothing of his thoughts. "You have caused quite the disruption, General Thompson," the Emperor said as the humans stopped before his throne. His voice echoed in the large room. "Half my empire is in chaos because of your actions." Thompson bowed slightly, showing respect but not submission. "That was not our intention, Your Majesty. We only wish to change how the Empire sees humanity. By building weapons of war in secret, by attacking Imperial outposts, by showing that humanity is more than what your advisors told you we were," Thompson replied. "The Phoenix and our other ships were built as protection, not conquest. We disabled your ships. We did not destroy them. We evacuated your people before destroying any facility." President Clark stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we wish to show you evidence that certain people in your empire have been deliberately keeping humanity weak and dependent." Clark nodded to one of his advisors, who activated a small device. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed recordings of Governor Drav speaking with other Imperial officials. "The humans must never be allowed to advance too quickly," Drav said in the recording. "Their creativity makes them dangerous. Keep their technology limited. Take their resources cheaply. The Emperor need not know the full potential of this species." Other recordings showed Imperial officials discussing how to keep Earth poor while making themselves rich from human labor and resources. Emperor Zal's eyes narrowed as he watched. "These are serious accusations, President Clark." "They are true, Your Majesty," Clark said. "For 40 years, Governor Drav and others have lied to you about humanity. They have treated us as tools, not as people." The Emperor leaned forward on his throne. "And yet, instead of continuing to fight after your victories, you asked for this meeting. Why?" Thompson and Clark exchanged glances before Clark answered. "Because we do not seek war with the Empire," Clark explained. "We do not even seek independence. We seek proper recognition and representation within the Empire." This statement caused murmurs of surprise among the Imperial officials present. "The Phoenix and our other ships show what humanity can offer the Empire as true partners," Thompson added. "Our technology, combined with Imperial resources, could benefit everyone. The ships that defeated your fleet at Alpha Centauri could instead help defend Imperial borders against real enemies." Emperor Zal studied the humans carefully. "You surprise me again, humans. Most species who gained such an advantage would demand freedom from the Empire." "Freedom is important," Clark agreed. "But wisdom is knowing when cooperation is better than isolation. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Humanity can be a valuable ally to the Empire, not just another conquered world." The Emperor stood from his throne and walked down the steps until he stood directly before the human delegation. This break with protocol shocked everyone in the room. "I have ruled this empire for 200 years, Emperor Zal said quietly. "In that time, I have conquered many worlds and met many species, but never have I been so surprised by a people." He looked at Governor Drav's face, frozen in the hologram, still floating in the air. "It seems I have been poorly informed about humanity," the Emperor continued. "That will change, starting today. General Thompson, President Clark, I accept your proposal. Humanity will be granted full member status within the Empire, with all rights and privileges." Gasps filled the throne room. Imperial advisors looked at each other in shock. "The Phoenix and its sister ships will serve the Empire loyally," Thompson promised, "once our new status is official." The Emperor nodded. "It shall be done. And I believe the Empire will be stronger for it." As Thompson and Clark bowed, both knew they had achieved something remarkable. Not just freedom for Earth, but a new beginning for humanity among the stars. 1 year later, Captain Turner stood on the observation deck of the HSS Phoenix. The massive supercarrier now looked different. Its hull still gleamed with the same dark blue metal, but now it also carried the official markings of the Imperial Defense Fleet. The human ship had become the flagship of the Empire's newest division, the Human Defense Fleet. Beside Turner stood Imperial Admiral Kell, once his enemy and now his official liaison to Imperial High Command. The two men watched Earth through the large windows. The blue planet looked peaceful from space. "Your ship continues to impress, Captain," Admiral Kell said, breaking the silence. "Our best engineers are still trying to understand how your stealth systems work." Turner smiled. "Cultural exchange works both ways, Admiral. Your weapons technology has helped us improve our own designs." Below them, Earth was changing. With humanity's new status as a full member species of the Empire came access to technologies and resources previously kept from them. New cities were being built, mixing imperial and human architectural styles. The heavy taxes were gone, replaced by fair trade agreements. "The Emperor asks when the other 11 supercarriers will be ready," Kell mentioned casually, looking away from Earth toward the stars. "The Orion and the Hercules completed their trials last month," Turner replied. "The others will follow by the end of the year." Turner didn't mention that 6 more carriers were already secretly operational. Old habits died hard, and humanity had learned to keep some secrets, even from allies. Admiral Kell nodded. "The frontier threats you'll be facing have troubled the Empire for centuries. The combined fleet will change that." The combined fleet was a new concept, Imperial and human ships working together to protect the borders of the Empire. Already, several mixed crews were training together, with humans teaching Imperials about their technology and Imperials teaching humans about the wider galaxy. "I never expected to end up here," Turner admitted. "A year ago, I was preparing to fight your fleets to the death." Kell laughed. "And I was planning how to crush your rebellion. Life takes strange turns." A young human officer approached them. "Captain, Admiral, the delegation from the Galactic Senate has arrived. They're waiting in the main conference room." Turner nodded. "We'll be right there." As the officer left, Kell turned to Turner. "Are you ready for this? Being the first human representative to the Senate is a big responsibility." "President Clark should be the one doing this," Turner said. "He's the political leader." "The Emperor insisted it be you," Kell reminded him. "You're the one who showed the Empire what humanity could do. The Phoenix isn't just a ship anymore, it's a symbol." Turner looked out at Earth one more time before they left for the meeting. So much had changed in just 1 year. In cities around the world, humans and Imperials now worked side by side. Human scientists had access to Imperial research facilities. Imperial cultural centers were opening on Earth, and human art and music were becoming popular on Imperial worlds. Children who had grown up knowing only Imperial rule now had opportunities their parents never dreamed possible. They could study at Imperial universities, join mixed crews on starships, even visit other worlds as tourists rather than workers. The Phoenix moved away from Earth orbit, heading toward the jump point that would take them to the Imperial capital. There, Turner would officially take humanity's seat in the Galactic Senate. Earth would have a voice in the decisions that affected the entire galaxy. "You know," Kell said as they walked to the conference room, "some in the Empire still don't understand how humans managed to build the Phoenix in secret." Turner smiled. "The Empire thought they knew everything about us. They study our weapons, our technology, our resources, but they missed something important." "What's that?" Kell asked. "Humans are at their best when facing impossible challenges," Turner explained. "The more you tell us something can't be done, the harder we try to do it. When Governor Drav told us we were too simple to understand Imperial technology, he basically guaranteed we would master it." Kell laughed. "I'm glad we're allies now." As they entered the conference room filled with representatives from across the galaxy, Turner felt a sense of pride. The Phoenix had started as a secret weapon, built from stolen parts and desperate hope. Now it was the symbol of humanity's new place in the stars. From subjugated species to valued allies in just 1 year, all because humanity had hidden its greatest strengths until the perfect moment to reveal them. The Phoenix wasn't just a ship. It was the symbol of humanity's rebirth in the galactic community, and a reminder to the entire galaxy that appearances could be deceiving.